Taiwan's glass industry had its heyday in the 1960s, when nearly all the world's Christmas lights were made here.
But in the 1990s, China started to lure local glassmakers across the strait with promises of lower labor costs and more room to expand. Now, Taiwan's remaining glass factories are turning toward creative industries for growth. Here's our Sunday in-depth report.
This factory in Zhunan, Miaoli County is so quiet. It's as if time has stopped inside. The factory owner isn't lazy. There simply aren't any orders to fill.
Work has stopped because of the lack of orders, so now we take winter and summer breaks. It wasn't like this before. We used to get tens of millions of NT dollars in orders a month, about 20 million NT dollars worth, and we would work overtime to ship the orders out.
With over 50 years of experience in glassmaking, Chiu Wen-hu has personally experienced the decline of Taiwan's glass industry. At its peak during the 1970s, there were over 200 glass factories in Zhunan alone, making everything from lampshades to glassware while building up Taiwan's foreign exchange reserves. But today's domestic glassmakers aren't nearly as competitive as they once were. This small factory, employing only 7 workers, is one of many in the area that are looking for ways to bring back business. Factory manager Lin Yao-nong has turned to glass blowing, making individual artworks to sell at a higher price per unit.
If we were still making these patterns and blowing these simple things as we did before in that business climate, we would absolutely not be competitive. But this type of craft has a definite artistic element.
Ling is proud of his glass-blowing craft. Having divided the required tasks among his team members, he can take glowing red molten glass that's been heated to more than 1,000 degrees Celsius and in a matter of moments, blow and shape it into a carp. Pieces like this carp can be sold on the market for thousands of NT dollars. Ling has resisted repeated attempts by Chinese businesses to recruit him, because he knows that the key factor in the decline of Taiwan's glass industry was the relocation of local firms to China, which then used lower prices to undercut the factories that stayed in Taiwan.
Business people will only look at how much money they're making. They'll move production to wherever costs are lower. And what happens when they move? The factory goes with them, and so do their managers, all of which helps drive the industry in that other place. Meanwhile, the industry in Taiwan goes into decline.
Cheng Ming-fan is a second-generation member of Taiwan's glass industry and is himself a fan of glass art. But his future in the industry is uncertain, given the gap in competitiveness between glassmakers in Taiwan and China.
My father has a glass business, and I think I should first carry that on. Maybe it's really past its time, I know, and I don't have any way to reverse that. I want to go into the field of education where there might be a chance for me to spread my glassmaking dream, and maybe that might help a new generation of glassmakers get back on their feet.
Today, Cheng Ming-fan went to find Lin Yao-nong with news that the blown glass products they had developed together were selling well. Jen wanted to build on that success by submitting another order and discussing the possibility of diversifying their production. After a chat, they decided to increase the size of their water bottle and design a handle for it. These students in the Department of Arts and Design at National Tsing Hua University are in the middle of glass blowing class. Their university is one of the few in Taiwan that offers courses in glass arts, but compared to the old industry system of teachers and pupils, their course has a much greater emphasis on the materials and the science behind the craft. Ming-tun, the head of the Tsing Hua University Arts and Design Department, approaches glassmaking from a scientific perspective, out of the belief that it offers the potential to return Taiwan's glass industry to its former glory.
In
the near future, we may see the emergence of a new industry around recycling and reuse. Pieces of glass, big and small, can be ground into absorptive silica sand to make things like these miniature bonsai landscapes. Returning to the old model in which we mass-produce glass products for export, if Taiwan becomes a major exporter of silica sand, this stuff can be turned into a whole industry.
Most of what used to be the country's glass industry has already relocated to China. But despite a host of structural challenges, Taiwan still boasts a number of creative talents in glassblowing and manufacturing who are using their expertise in artistry to blow new life into a sector that once looked dead.